It's good to be the king, or was it? There were worries about illness. I mean, I don't know what is going on, but I know they need some. We're not sponsored by Airborne, but it's great stuff. You can get it at CBS, and it'd be like, there's a lot going on in that room. But a lot of illness and flu and guys being out. But LeBron's on the court. LeBron's on the court.
Might have been clutch sports players. You know, I don't know. I talked to Rich Paul about that.
I don't. Don't start controversy here, Tony Del. Okay. Anthony Davis, he is playing, which is good to see. Sometimes we see him down here on the floor because he's given his all and gets knocked down, and then Willis reads himself back into the game. We need him to play for a full game. But most of the conversation about this game hasn't been about this game. Anybody who has been on social media, and apparently that's a thing nowadays, Coach, all we're talking about is where AD is going to end up, and that it can't. When you hear about players like this, and we understand it, and this far before he's even a free agent, hey, look, there's no way, ... you're going to be able to keep him, so start thinking trade. What does it say to you about kind of the state of where we're at in terms of stars and the ability to keep them in cities like New Orleans versus a place like LA or Boston where he ends up?
It's a very unfortunate situation, I think, because social media being what it is now, the exposure that everyone has to players and following them, every move that they make. Other GMs are upset right now with the fact that they feel LeBron has gotten away with a little bit too much in his comments. Anthony Davis is now represented by Clutch Sports. Clutch Sports, that's LeBron's group of guys. So they're laying the groundwork, but unfortunately for an organization like New Orleans, you have to suffer through all this and listen to it the whole year. Of course there's going to be talk about guys who have 1 year left in their contract. Are they going to come back, or are they going to go elsewhere? But to the point that it's at right now, it's very hard to keep your concentration on what you should be concentrating on. That's the immediate, the games you're playing now, trying to get your team to the playoffs and go as far as you can.
You know, really the only ability you have, Tone, is to be at a spot where you can control, because you have a player, whether or not you want to give him a max or a super max, and offer him the most money and then hope that that's enough. It doesn't mean they're still going to take that.
Right.
And, you know, the idea of some of the comments that are being made is, well, you know, if you're Anthony Davis, at that point you made X amount of dollars. Maybe you feel like you can make enough off the court if you're in LA or Boston to kind of counteract some of what you'd be missing.
I think everyone has become his financial guy to know where he's going. You can't count another man's money. Is he happy with the Pelicans? He said he's fine with the Pelicans. They've done a lot. They tried to build a team around him. He's been a centerpiece. They brought in shooters. They've done everything they possibly could do to make sure that he stays, giving him the supermax. But it's a small market team. And when you take the Pelicans and you compare the Lakers, it's two different markets.
Right.
And yes, it would be more exciting to play in LA than it would be to play in New Orleans. But at the end of the day, he is a Pelican. He's going to do everything he can to represent his team the best way he can. And for now, until he comes out and says he wants to be traded, he's a Pelican.
Would this be unfair to say that the importance of this decision, the magnitude of this decision when it comes about, could affect whether or not the Pelicans are still the New Orleans Pelicans in the near future?
I mean, it could. You hate thinking that way because you hope not. And I don't know the particulars of what that ends up being. But to your point, the importance of him to the franchise and where you go, there is no after. Because it doesn't matter what you trade him for. Now, in this sport, unlike some other, you can trade picks. And you could trade promise. But
you're not going to get equal value for AD at no point in time.
No.
But you have to try to get assets that can help your team in the future. But like you said, Coach, it could destroy this franchise.
Yeah, and look, you know, let me say this before we break. On the tampering thing, like, I get it, but it's like, you know, pine tar in baseball, where as long as you're not Michael Pineda, who had like a big glop on his head, there's stuff that goes on. Let's be fair, right? I mean, this is not anything new. That guys talk to each other, right?
Exactly.
I mean, are we going to really say...
It's a social media,
you know, they had to call your home
now.
line when you were playing. They couldn't call your cell phone. Or they had to beep Tony. Did somebody beep Tony?
I'm sure I didn't have a cell phone. I had a Motorola pager. They would page me, and I had to go to a payphone, and put in that number and call them.
But it happened.
Well, let's remember, this same franchise lost another guy named Boogie Cousins, who was alongside Anthony Davis, and now Cousins is in Golden State. And where will Anthony Davis wind up?
All right. Thanks for making everybody.